Hello and welcome to episode number 47 of No Whining. We are going to get started today with this. A 2024 Bartenura Moscato d'Asti. This is about $15, and the Bartenura website and lack of an actual tech sheet or any additional information was profoundly unhelpful. So we are going to talk more generally about Moscato and some of what makes it unique. Here we go. So Moscato Bianco is the Italian name for this grape that is a member of the Muscat family, specifically Muscat Blanc à Petit Grain, which is native to Greece but most prevalent in France. Moscato d'Asti means Moscato of Asti. Now, we tasted a Barolo wine in the last episode, and Asti is situated about 26 miles or a 35-minute drive northeast of Barolo in the Piemonte region in northwest Italy. And this, again, is a moderate continental climate. The Muscat Blanc à Petit Grain grape is prone to fungal infection, so a lot of care really needs to be taken in the vineyard to manage the vine canopy and promote airflow and limit humidity. Moscato d'Asti wines typically have high residual sugar levels of around 130 grams per liter, which is right about what a soda is, and are made in a frizzante style, which means they're not full sparkling wines like Asti or aka Asti Spumante. So how does it get the sugar and the sparkle? Not in the way the wines of champagne and other traditional sparkling method wines do. If you want to look at that process, I did a really nice overview in episode 15. You can check that out. Instead, it's made by the Asti method. Juice is pressed, cooled, and stored until needed for production. Then it's warmed up and fermented in stainless steel tanks that are sealed partway through the fermentation to capture the CO2 or the bubbles. As soon as the desired level of fizz and residual sugar is reached, the fermentation is stopped by chilling the wine and then filtering out the remaining yeast. This locks in the low alcohol level and preserves the remaining sugar because the yeast are no longer present or able to convert the sugar into alcohol. By the way, this particular wine is also certified kosher, which is a complete and total pain in the rear end, right? Because the entire winemaking process has to be performed by religious Jews and supervised by a rabbi. So it's very, very difficult from a production standpoint to do it, and it's pretty impressive when you find it. Okay, let's get into this. Okay, this wine is clear, aside from the bubbles, of course. It certainly doesn't have any sediment in it, and it is a pale lemon color. Looks like low viscosity on the sides of the glass there. Let's send it to the schnoz. All right, this wine is clean on the nose. It is certainly youthful and has medium, I'm going to say, intensity aromas, starting with candied pear and peach. Got some melon in here, also some muscat, which is not a big surprise. Also some apricot, I'm going to say, some quince. On the floral side, a little bit of honeysuckle, some orange blossom as well. This is really nice on the nose. Let's send it to the jaws. Okay, that's sweet. It's got a medium minus body on it. Super low alcohol, medium in terms of acid, but the frizzante style, like those bubbles are really nice. I feel like it provides this really elegant lift to the wine. It's got medium intensity flavors, and I'm gonna go with a medium minus finish. So I'm gonna say that this wine is good. It's balanced, it's got a decent amount of complexity, which kind of elevates it above a wine of acceptable quality. This is not suitable for bottle aging because the primary aromas and flavors are only going to fade with time, so time would not be our friend in that case, okay? That's a great way to start out the episode. Let's go to wine number 2. This is a 2017 Sartori di Verona Rios Amarone della Valpolicella DOCG Classico. Wow, gosh, love those Italian names. This is about $55 for this bottle, and Amarone is produced in the Valpolicella Classico region, which is just northwest of Verona. Now, Valpolicella Classico designates wines coming from within the original defined boundaries of that region, versus the more general Valpolicella, which includes the broader and more generic region and land the Classico Classico region was later expanded to include. The soils are quite cool in Valpolicella Classico, which slows ripening, slowly bringing the grapes to full maturity without losing the all-important and desirable acidity levels that leads to freshness in the finished wine. Amarone is not your normal wine, ladies and gentlemen, definitely not your normal wine. It is made by the appassimento process, where grapes are dried out for about 3 or 4 months in lofts after they've been picked. When the water evaporates and the grapes shrivel, the sugar, acids, aromas, and flavors in the berries become very concentrated. Amarone is known for its intensity, as is Recioto della Valpolicella. But Amarone is the dry version of Valpolicella, while Recioto is the sweet version. Recioto's sweetness, just like the Moscato we just tasted before this, is typically preserved the same way. Fermentation is stopped by cooling the wine partway through the fermentation. Amarone, however, is fermented to dryness, or very close to it. And why do I say close to it? Because Amarone's sugar levels are so high that it naturally results in high alcohol levels, which is usually going to be 15% or higher. So, past a certain point in fermentation, the newly created alcohol ironically kills the yeast that just made it. This can leave a small amount of residual sugar behind in the final Amarone wine, around 5 to 10 grams per liter. This can be difficult, if not impossible to detect, depending on your palate. The grapes used were 50% Corvina Veronese, aka Corvina, which dominates all Valpolicella wines regardless of style, 30% Corvinone, 15% Rondinella, and 5% Croatina. Here's some information from the tech sheet. Area of production. The vineyards are situated in the hills of Valpolicella Classico, northwest of Verona. The soil is calcareous marl. Vinification. The grapes are hand-picked and carefully selected, put in small plastic crates, and dried in ventilated rooms for about 3 months. When they reach the perfect grade of dryness, they are destemmed, pressed, and fermented in stainless steel tanks. The fermentation lasts about 30 days. After 12 months in concrete tanks, where it undergoes malolactic fermentation, the wine is transferred to oak casks of medium and large size for at least 3 years. After bottling, the wine ages another 6 months. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is the background. Let's get into the wine. Okay, this wine is clear. I'm going to call this a medium garnet color and high viscosity there on the sides of the glass. Let's take it to the schnoz. Wow. Okay, this wine is clean. It is certainly developing really pronounced aromas, starting with like dried red cherry and raisin. Getting a little bit of prune and fig, so a lot of that dried fruit character really, really prominent. Got some 5-spice, ginger, cinnamon, clove. And then, I don't know if this is a thing, but I'm going to say caramel coffee. I don't know how else to describe it. All right, back to the schnoz. Picking up some dark chocolate here, along with some earthy qualities, or earthy notes like mushroom and tobacco. Okay, I think that's it for the schnoz. Time to send it to the jaws. Okay, this might have just the slightest bit of residual sugar in it, but because it's such a tiny amount, I'm going to say that this is certainly a dry wine. It presents as dry. Body on it, probably medium plus, really high alcohol, high acid as well, and then the tannins are probably like medium plus. The flavors are super intense as well, right? Like pronounced flavors, just like we had pronounced aromas on the nose. This has a really long finish to it, and it's kind of evolving, but it's rounding out with tobacco actually. So I'd like the finish on this, but overall, this is just a super concentrated, opulent wine. And so if that is your style, you're probably enjoying this. If it's not, this is probably pretty overwhelming. Objectively speaking, this is an outstanding wine. It represents exactly what Amarone is supposed to be. It's just quality all the way around, right? Like it's balanced. It's got incredible texture to it. It's got great complexity. It's got the length. It certainly has the concentration and the intensity to it. But at the same time, I do have to say that subjectively speaking, I am just not somebody who absolutely loves wines at this point. Maybe my palate just hasn't evolved enough. I don't know if I'll ever really like it, but these super developed fruit flavors, because the style of Amarone, obviously the way we talked about what goes into making this, it's going to have those dried fruit flavors and aromas anyhow. But when you stack on top of that, the fact that this wine is almost 10 years old now, you get a lot more of the fruit development stacked on top of what was already there, and it can be a bit intense. So I think I would really like this wine, quite frankly, if it was a newer vintage. And I'm going to say that this is not suitable for bottle aging anywhere past what it already has. This wine is fully developed. So it's where it needs to be. Anything past this, I feel like it's going to deteriorate in the bottle. So that is that, ladies and gentlemen. Let's pull these both in. Okay, I am curious which of these you preferred at home. Which one did you like? These are radically different styles of wine, and I'm really glad I actually chose this, because a lot of times you put that contrast in there and it allows you to weigh one against the other, and the qualities of each really comes to the fore. I am going to say that I'm definitely going to pick the Moscato d'Asti. I thought this was just way more enjoyable, quite frankly, and it's interesting because I do like, generally speaking, really bold wines, but this was like over the top. It was, for me, way too raisinated, and like I said, since it's an older vintage, almost 10 years now, it was just like, it was too much. And this Moscato d'Asti is just very drinkable, very pleasant, delightful, yummy. This is something like, if you're in the mood to get punched in the teeth by a wine, this is a really good one. So that's what I have to say about that. I do want to remind you before we go to check out the videos that I included links to in the description, because those videos are phenomenal for kind of on the heels of this episode, really digging in and seeing what these vineyards and these areas look like and how the wines are made. Trust me, I think you're really going to love those extra videos that I included, and I hope you've enjoyed this episode and this wine list. Our next episode is the final episode in our current wine list before moving on to the next. All right, I will see you then.